Hi, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor. Namaste, how are you? Nice to see you. I can't see you, but you could see me. You get the idea. Thanks so much for everybody's comments. One of the Mandela effects somebody was mentioning last time was the name Michael. I've always seen it where it had the two spellings, but I noticed that some years ago it might have been more recently than 10 years ago, but it seemed to me that people said, oh, you could spell it this way, or you could spell it that way. Maybe it's something that we kind of came about, maybe 3-4 years ago, could be, that people are spelling it differently. It always looked funny to me, and that's the important thing. But just thought I'd mention, one of the most important archangels that were known in the really the only one mentioned, they say, in the Bible, unless more just happened to populate, was the name Michael. So that would lend you to say something. This is the Spiritual Scientist channel, so and then the other thing that people were talking about is I wasn't really going to talk too much about the Mandela effect tonight. What I'm going to talk about maybe is I do distance healing and spiritual mentoring. So I just thought I'd mention a little bit, and I think I talked about in the past about when spiritual distance healing. So Reiki master now over 20 years, and I've perfected by doing it for so many years now how to do a distance healing. And I kind of took from Reiki and then went with it, and moved on, which is pretty neat. I with when particles get entangled, so in entanglement, they can affect each other from across the galaxy, they say. So I think the same thing with quantum entanglement would cover for distance healing. So now when I see a distance healing, when I'm doing a distance healing, I'm doing the spiritual distance healing, I thought I'd get into some, not so great stuff. So you end up doing a lot of these, and sometimes people have, demonic beings, so demonic entities that are, they a lot of times, what I talked about in the past, like there'll be mostly, females approach me for this, and then they have like a boyfriend that was into something like demonic in the past. Like he was literally practicing witch, but he would summon up demonic entities and demons. And these guys, they're out there, believe it or not, doing it. It's more common than you think. And these guys go out and and then they infect the women. So think of it like your brain's a computer and you're getting a computer virus. So they're getting these viruses, and then I get approached a lot to get rid of them, which is like an exorcism. So I do, and I could basically, it's very hard to do distantly, but I think I've been getting better at it over the years. But one thing you never find out is when you do an exorcism with someone, whether it be a man or woman, and they're not happy afterwards. They're not like jumping up and down, sending me thank you letters and wouldn't give me a positive review because they've been abused, and you're getting abused. I just thought I'd talk about a couple instances maybe to help people out. What you basically they'll go, it'll from base chakra level, you'll get in thrall, so they'll kind of pull on those chakra chords, and they'll get involved in that base sexual level, and they want they want to, there's entities that you don't want to feed off your energy, so they want to, they want to, and transmute your goodness to basically badness. That's a lot of demonic beings, goals with all this. So with, I call on Jesus to clear space, and call on Jesus to do the exorcism, because he, let's face it, Jesus is real, and he's the one doing, that. So I have that happen. I was doing one, the other day. I sent Jesus with the cross, to the woman, and she's been in this bad, demonic state for like 5 years, and with Satanism has really affected her in a negative way. And she said afterwards, during the healing, I saw Jesus in the cross. I said, yeah. A lot of people think that, when is it over? What you have to know is when your exorcism's complete and everything's normal, when you're normal, I made a meme about this, like your brain is like a record, and the needle goes in the grooves and it carves into the record. So it's the same way with like your brain and the functionality with the synapses. So the way your synapses fire, you're thinking all these negative things about suicide or whatever, that demon, that negative vibration is making you feel. To let go of that, now you finally can let go of it. So what the healings help you do is clear all that negativity, and then help your willpower add to your willpower. So you have and I always say this, you have freedom. So you have free will. So you have the free will to make, choices. So you could actually change, that groove. So like meditation clears out, a lot of the grooves, and, helps you clean the dust off that record. That's what meditation does. And our thoughts are like songs on that record. But what I'm saying is, when you're playing that tune, you want to make it a positive tune on a, higher frequency. So, your thoughts can have frequencies basically too. So you want to get that, 440 megahertz kind of thought going on. You want to raise your frequency with that, and you want to be positive, and thank Jesus for it. But after what I'm saying is, after that has transpired, a lot of people, what you're doing is, your thoughts go back in that groove, and you go back to that demonic state, even though it's cleared out. You're calling it back to you, and you're reenacting. It's like you're doing like a feedback loop. So you're going to feedback, where you're feeding back, over and over. It's a negative feedback loop. So basically, what for a lot of people, you want to realize that the feedback loops that you're creating in your life, you don't need to do. Like, you could flip out. Something's going to happen tomorrow. I'm in trouble tomorrow. Something's happening. So then it's bothering you now. Or, you just know at the moment when it's going to occur, you're going to handle it in the best way possible, and, and you move on. So, Jesus said for us not to worry, look at the lilies, how they grow. So what I'm saying is that you don't want to worry, and you don't want to set yourself to, negative spirals, negative feedback loops. So these negative feedback loops, are what these demonic beings and entities, love for people to get into. So they love for people to get into these, where you're always scared. So if you're out there in the world and you find yourself always worried about tomorrow, always, scared about, things, and you most likely you don't have a reason to be, but you could have, you being influenced by these, negative, entities. So a lot of times they'll like, guys who are into this stuff and ladies who are into this stuff will seek out, what they'll feel, and they'll seek out, gifted people, and they'll try to latch onto it, because the gifted people who have, everyone's gifted, but if you developed your, gifts more, like psychic gifts more, and then they'll latch onto you and try to have a relationship with you, and then cause a negative spiral so they can feed off the negativity in those negative loops. So what I'm saying is we got to break those negative loops, take Jesus into your life, and really, understand that, you're always looking at the glass half empty, look at it half full. What can happen tomorrow? It could be a great day, and you want to not be careful in these relationships, who you're really sleeping with, who you're in contact with. Ask them questions about your religion or what's your spiritual affiliation. Some people now it's a trigger word. If I say the word religion, people are triggered and they want to talk to me about, oh, I said the word religion, blah 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 blah, and it's a trigger word. Religion, really in Latin, what it really means is, as I understand it, and you could have your own interpretation, I understand, but maybe it's Mandela effect, because I knew what the people, are trying to correct me, but I know what it is. It means basically like you're following the steps of your forefathers. So what I'm saying is, like, people had this interactions with higher power, with God, and they took it and they put in a book for people who would be their descendants to understand, what they went through, and they walked through fire and they went through all this, and then they would put it in a book, and then the next generation would have that information to help them navigate life. And so if we take, the information from our forefathers, we could really understand, more today how we could relate. Now, it doesn't mean, to me, I don't take anything, verbatim. That's maybe my problem, but I'm always investigating. I'm always testing. Things, make sure, what's good, what's bad, making sure on everything. So that's what you have to do. You have to use discernment. That's an important thing, and the discernment, it's given by the Holy Spirit. So with all that said, there are, and there is a war. It's a war between, always you hear about that, good and bad. There's it's like, when I get involved with doing a healing, sometimes you come across these, like an implant, like a psychic implant, like I call them negative alien implants. Like, they're really, and some of them are very advanced. When you're going to, how do you can't just, for some people, raise their vibration anymore. You just can't, because they're booby trapped. A lot of them are booby trapped. So there's, like, think of it like your brain's like a computer, and they put a computer virus in there, and now these computer viruses are advanced. So they have, like, advanced software that allows, that they're trying not to, set things off. Now, if you raise the vibration, sometimes they're set to go off if the vibration gets raised too much. So they can be super complicated for these, negative alien implants to remove. Most people going around in the world have some kind of etheric implants, some kind of alien implants. You can even get them through watching porn. You could get them over the internet yourself, though. You're taking that through your eye, you're taking that into your being. So I thought I'd warn you about that. Like, you have to really keep yourself steeled and really, watch out for what you're participating in. And like Jesus said, be careful, and he was taking, like, the commandments at another level up. So people would say, oh, don't lust after a woman, So in this society now we have, it's just been getting, degradation, more and more and more. Everybody, sexualizing the young, horrible idea, horrible, bad stuff. And that's what the devil wants. That's what so you're feeding into that feedback loop. So I just thought I'd talk about that tonight, that you want to get out of that, negativity. You want to get away from, all the drugs and alcohol, and alcohol lowers your vibration. You're giving yourself into that area where, those things can transpire. So when you're softening them up, your psyche, your aura with drugs and alcohol or whatever it is, you're making yourself more available. That's why they call it, spirit shop. When you go to, go buy alcohol, what kind of spirits would you like? You're basically inviting these negative entities. You're giving them a pass. Say, hey, come on, invade me. I'm gonna be drunk. So you're poisoning yourself to allow those negative entities. And then Jesus said, in the rooms of your house, you have to keep them, clean, like the rooms in your mind. So you gotta, wipe out all that, worry. And Jesus didn't want you to worry. I certainly don't want you to worry. There's no reason, to worry. And listen, you're gonna die one day. Everybody's gonna die. From now until then, why worry? Why take up your space with negativity? You don't want, you want to draw that negativity and positive. Go into your workplace, or go into your environment, and just really try and love everybody. And what happens is you're going to find out that love is like a higher dimension, where you're able to take in more information. So what happens when you really, really love something? What happens? You're going to understand it more. You're going to really get into that. Jesus said, love God. That's one of the biggest commandments, love God. So what happens is, when you're loving God, you're going to be raised up to a whole different, wavelength of, vibration of love. And then you're more open, to the universe of God. So more things are going to happen, positive things, because you're putting it out there. A lot of times I do healing with somebody that has something, negative. Let's say they have, they had a breakup or something like that. One time I did a healing with somebody that had, a horrible breakup. And I took some of that into myself, just to have them not have that pain anymore. And they went off, and they said, they were laughing. They're like, now my heart doesn't hurt anymore. This is great. And the next day they went back with the person that hurt them, because their heart, they forgot that pain. And then what happened is, then that person broke their heart again. So the pain that you feel in your heart is there for a reason, from getting hurt, so you don't get hurt again in that same situation. If you didn't feel it, you'd keep getting in that situation. It's for people to hang on to that negative aspect. You want to, let that go. Anyway, I talked for 18 minutes. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I know I went off a little topic for some of you. For some of you, maybe I'm back on topic. But I just thought I'd talk about, distance healing. And, really, you could just pray, to Jesus, and he'll take care of all your problems in God. So, but you want to, when you look out in the world and you see something's, wrong, be the good in the world. So that's what you want to do. Just be the good in the world out there, and, good things will happen. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share. Love y'all. Peace out.